Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari decision has caused problem for Mercedes F1 star, David Coulthard. That is the opinion of former F1 driver David Coulthard, who believes Ferrari's decision to ditch Kimi Räikkönen represents a challenge for the Mercedes star. Is gearing up for the 2019 season, which starts next Sunday with the Australian Grand Prix at Melbourne's Albert Park circuit. And he will go into the campaign with plenty of expectation on his shoulders, despite posting just one head-turning lap in testing in Barcelona. Ferrari, though, impressed at the Circuit de Catalunya, and that bodes well as they look to end their title drought. The prancing horses' wait for silverware stretches back to 2008, when Räikkönen and Felipe Massa combined to secure the World Constructors' Championship. And they will be desperate for Leclerc to at least replicate that feat following 5 years of Mercedes dominance. Coulthard, who ended his career with Red Bull in 2009, is expecting big things from the Ferrari duo over the coming 8 months. And he believes Ferrari have caused a problem for Hamilton by handing the seat of the slower, veteran Räikkönen to top prospect Leclerc. As far as Lewis is concerned, the pairing of Sebastian and Charles has a much more dangerous look to it, in my opinion, than that of Sebastian and Kimi, Coulthard said. I didn't see Kimi winning too many races last season, and that was the way it turned out. But I would be mightily surprised if Charles isn't spraying that champagne all over the podium on at least a couple of occasions this year. He is young enough, enthusiastic enough and fast enough to be pushing Sebastian onwards. And that will keep not just Seb on his toes, but Lewis as well. Ferrari did not always play their best hand last season. I'm not sure Seb and Kimi would feel that they received the optimum support. If they are to really give Lewis something to think about, the team is going to have to push themselves that little bit more, and so are the drivers. Hamilton and Mercedes teammate Valtteri Bottas have both commented on Ferrari's pace-setting form in pre-season testing. However, 13-time Grand Prix winner Coulthard is not convinced it means too much. It isn't so much mind games, the data is there to see, Coulthard said. But during my own career, I know I felt like I was in good shape in testing, but when it comes to the first race it can all change pretty quickly. I don't think Lewis or Valtteri were giving anything other than their honest opinion. But the real test will be what happens in Melbourne. Practice for the Australian Grand Prix starts next Friday, with qualifying on Saturday and the race on Sunday. Next news: Formula E 2019 highlights. Bird wins Hong Kong E-Prix after controversial move. The Brit fought through from 7th on the grid to take his second victory of the season in an action-packed race. It was the milestone 50th event for Formula E, but it was not without controversy after Bird collided with Andrea Lotterer in the closing stages. With Bird's win and points haul in jeopardy, while fellow podium finishers Edoardo Mortara and Lucas Di Grassi could yet move up a place. Former McLaren F1 ace Stoffel Vandoorne started the race on pole after a masterful display in hazardous wet conditions during qualifying. However, the rain dried up and Oliver Rowland got a flying start from second on the grid to lead into the first corner. And, with all three retiring on the spot and unable to take the restart, Rowland got the action underway from behind the safety car, but the Nissan Neat.Dems driver was eventually hauled in by the hard-charging Bird. The envisioned Virgin Racing star's tap on the rear of Rowland's car temporarily caused his compatriot to accidentally alter a power setting in his steering wheel, seeing him drop down the order to 10th. Bird's lead wasn't to last, with Lotterer sneaking past after a mistake, although the former was visibly quicker and made contact with the back of Lotterer's DS Techeetah on numerous occasions. The situation came to a head following another safety car after Vandoorne stopped on track with a driveshaft failure, with Bird clouding the rear of Lauderer's car under braking for turn 2. Tire and suspension damage followed for the German as he dropped back with just a single lap remaining, leaving Bird to sprint home. Mortara and Di Grassi completed the podium with Robin Frijns fourth ahead of Daniel Abt and Felipe Massa, while Gary Paffert picked up his first points of the campaign in 8th. Bird also won the race in Hong Kong last year, and after the race expressed regret about the circumstances of his victory. "For me, I tried to go down the inside and Andre defended late," he said. "It's very slippery down the inside. I braked, locked up, hit him like what he did with Jeff, Techeetah teammate Jean-Eric Verne, in Santiago last year. It's a big shame, my heart goes out to him. He drove a great race." Next news: Lewis Hamilton tops F1 salary list but surprise driver sits third above Max Verstappen. Hamilton pinned a 2-year contract extension with Mercedes last year to boost his earnings to £40 million a year. The Brit won his 5th world title while extending the Silver Arrow's dominance for a 5th consecutive season. Ferrari rival Sebastian Vettel, who has 4 drivers' championships to his name, banks almost 25% less than Hamilton with £30.5 million. Red Bull's Max Verstappen is expected to challenge Hamilton and Vettel for the title this year. But he is only banking £10 million, which is substantially less than former teammate Daniel Ricciardo. The Australian has joined midfield outfit Renault for the upcoming campaign and he is being heavily rewarded. The 29-year-old has been given a comparable salary to Vettel at £26.5 million. Mercedes' second driver Valtteri Bottas then sits 5th with £6.5 million. At the opposite end of the scale, young Briton George Russell earns £140,000, which is slightly better than the bottom earner Alexander Albon of Toro Rosso, according to the Mirror. The F1 season gets underway in Australia next weekend. Hamilton is the favourite for the title to take him to within one championship of Michael Schumacher's all-time record. But Mercedes were behind both Ferrari and Red Bull in testing, so it is set to be an intriguing race. F1 drivers' 2019 salaries: Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, £40 million; Sebastian Vettel, Ferrari, £30,500,000; Daniel Ricciardo, Renault, £26,500,000; Max Verstappen, Red Bull, £10 million; Valtteri Bottas, Mercedes, £6,500,000; Kimi Räikkönen, Alfa Romeo, £3,500,000; Nico Hülkenberg, Renault, £3,500,000; Carlos Sainz, McLaren, £3 million; Charles Leclerc, Ferrari, £2,500,000; Sergio Perez, Racing Point, £2,500,000; Romain Grosjean, Haas, £1,400,000; Pierre Gasly, Red Bull, £1 million; Lance Stroll, Racing Point, £900,000; Kevin Magnussen, Haas, £900,000; Robert Kubica, Williams, £430,000; Daniel Kvyat, Toro Rosso, £230,000; Lando Norris, McLaren, £200,000; Antonio Giovinazzi, Alfa Romeo, £175,000; George Russell, Williams, £140,000; Alexander Albon, Toro Rosso, £130,000. Next news: Stoffel Vandoorne gives Lando Norris one piece of advice ahead of McLaren F1 debut. Vandoorne has offered Lando Norris some valuable advice ahead of the new McLaren driver's F1 debut in Australia. Vandoorne spent 2 seasons with the Woking outfit, enjoying a promising 2017 campaign before suffering the following year in an Having switched from F1 to Formula E with HWA for 2019, Vandoorne is perfectly placed to offer the new McLaren protege advice on coping in his first season at the top. "You've just got to go with what you have," said Vandoorne. "It's always a bit tricky as a young driver to come into Formula One and you have these high expectations because generally all the younger guys have been very successful in the junior series, fighting for championships and fighting for wins. There's maybe an expectation that you need to temper a bit, unless you're going straight into a Mercedes or a Ferrari. I think that is the most challenging part of it. He is still young and a good junior, so I think he will manage okay." Managing expectations was something Vandoorne became accustomed to during his 2 years with McLaren as the team struggled to find the pace to compete at the front. The Belgian entered F1 with an excellent racing CV, winning championships in F4 Eurocup 1.6, Eurocup Formula Renault 20 and GP2. However, his reputation took a battering after comparisons with a dominant Norris, who is just 19 years old but has been part of the McLaren Junior program since 2017, is up against the highly rated Carlos Sainz this season as the outfit looks to haul itself back to the front of the grid. If anything, the youngster has an even more impressive record than Vandoorne did before he made his F1 debut, having secured championships in MSA Formula, Formula Renault 20, Toyota Racing Series, Formula 3 and a runner-up spot to George Russell in Formula 2 last season. As for Vandoorne, he is yet to score points in his first 4 Formula E races after a combination of mechanical issues and errors have marred HWA's debut campaign, although he hopes their luck will change in Hong Kong this weekend. "It's not been the start to the season that we've been hoping for," he said. "Obviously there's been a lot of difficulties and we've not really been rewarded with what could have been, but there have also been plenty of positives to take away. The pure pace in qualifying and testing is good. When we put all the pieces together, the pace is there and we can fight for the top positions, which is very encouraging." Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to share and subscribe to your channel to get the latest sports news around the world. Wished health and success. Goodbye.